Hey, Paulina.
Hi.
You
Hi,
do
Hannah.
good to see you.
Good to see you too. I always love the things you wear on your head and your earrings.
Thank you. It is one of my one of my secrets. Uh, Twice in one day. We got to talk this morning when it was like the exact opposite schedule, and now it's morning for you and evening for me. So thank you again.
Of course. I'm up so early every day, so this is not a
I
problem.
never mind. You're always totally on board with the schedule, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You've been traveling quite a bit. Where were you recently? You were in New York. You were in the States, weren't you?
I was traveling a lot the past 2 months. I was in the States. I was in New York, and then I went to Boston, and then I was in the Bahamas, and then back to New York, and then I went to Texas to visit a friend.
Oh, amazing.
And then now I'm back home.
Yeah, I feel that now that we can travel, I've been, taking advantage of it too. I feel that.
Yeah, I get your emails that say I'm away from the office, I'm traveling, and I'm like, okay, good for you, Hannah.
The last years I've just, totally cabin fever. So it's been good to. But I want to talk a little bit. I want you to do a little bit of an intro about just kind of you, your work, how you kind of came to be, what you've been doing, what you kind of, have developed for yourself, which is definitely an amazing kind of like retro future physical, personal style. But yeah, give us a little bit of an intro about you, where you are, education, whatever you want to throw in there.
So I've always been creative since I was younger. I've loved like arts and crafts and drawing and stuff like that. And for college, I pursued a major in graphic design. After that, I worked in fashion, and I studied in New York too. I studied at Parsons. I took fashion design. I thought I was gonna go that route. I thought I was gonna be a fashion designer and all that stuff. But the pandemic hit, and I was like, this industry is not sustainable. I had job offers on the table that got rescinded, and then I had to like,
York?
yeah,
God, you were so close.
yeah, I had to figure out my life when the pandemic hit because the fashion industry wasn't doing well. Nothing was happening. It was kind of sinking. So I was like, is this really what I want to dedicate my life to? Not really. I don't think so. So
At least you have a though. So you were doing graphics before that though, and so then you really pushed into your own signature style and developing that.
Yeah, so since I did graphic design in college, I've been freelancing here and there just a little bit ever since I was like 17 or whatever, but just little projects here and there. But after the pandemic hit, that's when I decided, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Let me just make art every day because I didn't have anything else to do. I was broke, like I didn't have any jobs on the table. I just started to make something every single day. I was like, this is the only thing that I can do right now.
The
And I
daily.
started posting them. Yeah, I started posting them on Instagram, and before I knew it, my account gained all this traction.
Totally.
Here, yeah.
It's amazing just like dedication to your personal practice can do, and just like dedicating time and kind of figuring out what's comfortable and developing your style. And I know for a lot of digital artists and for us, it's like the pandemic was definitely a blessing and a curse, but it gave us time, it made us focus. It's like, at least we had, our digital outlets, and the community and the network of digital artists is so amazing that it's like, at least everyone was building that up, and, we could do that from afar. So, I mean, maybe the timing was fortunate. We're fortunate to, kind of be in this industry, and it obviously kind of panned out perfectly.
It did. I got really, really lucky. It didn't feel lucky at first. I was struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was scary, but eventually, I started getting requests it started out small. Like people would ask me to do album art or cover art for their singles, a flyer here and there. I'm also glad that I have a lot of friends in the music industry. A lot of my friends are like DJs, promoters, stuff like that. So they would ask me to do flyers and single covers and stuff. So I had that little base to start with.
Love that. And probably, I mean, these last 2 years that, I can't quite remember how long we've been working together, but maybe it's been a year, maybe it's been almost touching on a little bit over that, but
less than a year. I think you reached out to me in September.
Okay. So I feel like amazing things to get so far in your career is just like on this amazing trajectory, and I love being a part of it. I'm seeing
thank you so much for having me.
art. I do want to talk about the fish.
Oh. That's so recent. I don't know how it became fish.
Funny. So Paulina has been making these just like kind of abstract creature fish the last couple, I don't know, whatever. But I'm here for it and I want to see him keep going. Is that like, that feels like it has something to do with just like your heritage, Philippines, I don't know, oceanic at all? Or maybe it's just fish?
How did I start? I'm trying to think about how I started with the fish. I have all these saved folders on Pinterest where I save inspiration and stuff, and lately I've been seeing a lot of like medieval manuscript art where they do these really weird creatures, and they're all vintage like manuscript art. So I've been drawing a lot of inspiration from that, and where they combine like different creatures together, and it's all vintage and super cool. So I've been inspired by that. I don't know how it became fish. I don't know. But
like now that you say that, they're almost like gargoyle-y, you know?
Yes.
Almost like I can see them being like, you know, illustrators in, I don't know, the 1400s, kind of like etching and guessing, and like everything looked like the perspective was kind of off, and they were creepy looking, you know, and they were kind of like man fishes or something. But
yeah, that's what I'm super drawn to things like that. Like the weirder, the more inclined I am to want to create my own version of it. Add pink, add some sparkles.
That's why we love you. Throw some pink. Perfect. Totally. So what about the rest of your work? Where do you like look, you know, old references? You look for new references? You kind of like go off on tangents of flowers or bodies. Is there any like source that you pull, or is it just stuff you're attracted to?
Usually, well, I'm always looking for inspiration. I'm a very visual person. I think in vivid colors. I imagine things in color. Even like when I'm talking to people, the words that I say and the words that they say translate in my brain as like pictures and images. I'm a very visual person, so I'm always looking for inspiration. And the things I'm drawn to seem to be very similar. Lots of pink, lots of sparkles, retro art, like I said, weird like creatures, stuff from like horror movies and things like that. So those are what visually really inspire me. But then what drives me to create is, well, when I'm in a good mood, yes, it's easy to create. But then when I'm in a bad mood, then it becomes a little harder. Then I have to like look deep in myself and find my why, all that stuff.
I know.
But yeah, when I'm stuck, I always just go back to my saved boards on Pinterest and I just draw inspiration from there.
That's all. Just like building a source, history that if you need it, if you're stuck, then you can go back to it. That's a totally good tip. I have always had this habit of just dragging everything to my desktop or taking screenshots on my phone, and then I end up with like 20,000 photos, which are very less than organized. But yeah, it's good to have a source. It's good to have, you know, things just somewhere to pull from. And then your process, it's going to blow people's mind. It blows my mind that you do everything in Illustrator. So you're completely digital, all Illustrator somehow. And are you self-taught in that?
Sort of. When I did graphic design in college, they taught us the super basic functions of Photoshop and Illustrator. And after that, it was up to us to learn more about the software so that we could, you know, do our projects and stuff. And so I kept practicing. I was drawn to Illustrator the most because I love the vectors. I love vector art. And I think it's the easiest, in my opinion, the easiest of all the Adobe programs. Illustrator is the easiest.
Knows Illustrator and knows Creative Suite and knows those programs. Somehow Paulina just does gradients on gradients, and I like can't even, like I can't even barely laugh. And you're doing like that I feel like are impossible, and it's amazing. You've really mastered this craft that really shocks people. And then so how's that process?
I'm sorry?
What's your process like?
So I have an image that's super stark in my mind. I just draw that on Illustrator directly. Like I don't sketch or anything. Sometimes I do sketch depending on how clear the vision appears in my mind. If it's not that clear, I sketch on a piece of paper first just to get it down. But if not, I go directly onto my laptop. I use my trackpad. I just draw on Illustrator and I color it in.
And then
Yeah.
add motion? Are you doing motion in After Effects?
I started that
Cool.
late last year. I started learning After Effects, but it's such a beast of a software. It's so hard to learn. I mean, I guess it's just a learning curve because I've never animated anything before, and that was my first that was the first time I'd ever dipped my toes into the world of animation. And it was such a learning curve. There were days when I was at my table, I was screaming like, "Ah, I don't want to do this anymore." But I guess
No,
that's just how it goes. But
like,
I think I just need to spend more time with the program. But it's fun. But I
it's
don't. I'm just a creature of habit. I like my Illustrator, and I feel like I do the best work on there.
well,
And I
you're
work
good.
really fast too. So
Love watching it move. Yeah, I mean, you're killing it with that. So just, I mean, yeah, keep pushing for that for sure. Was there anything else that you want to dip into, like as a creative, as an artist, like for your personal work? Do you want to, I don't know, get more into physical stuff or installation stuff, or is there anything that you could like envision your work kind of translating to that you haven't done?
I'm thinking maybe in the future I want to create like sculptures. I wouldn't be doing them because I don't do sculpture work. But then I would like to sell, I don't know, maybe like an eyeball or something, like a physical eyeball. That would be really cool, or like a flower or something like that.
Oh
But
my,
that's way into the future.
I could totally see them. That would be amazing. And you're now dipping into NFTs. You've been selling your work and hosting it on multiple platforms, which I love. Do you have much for sale or much out there right now?
Right now, I don't think I have any. I think I have like that one piece from Art Basel that hasn't sold yet.
Sometimes, right, collector. There's one available for anyone that's interested. It's like your very rare chance to buy a Paulina.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything else because I don't know. I like to do it slowly. I don't like to release several pieces if I haven't sold the previous ones. So I tend to release one at a time, 3 at most. And I'm thankful that I've been able to sell really quickly, like 24, 48 hours, and my pieces are sold out. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's such a great, opportunity and, asset for digital artist works. And there's so many great platforms out there now. And I know we're kind of dipping in the world of doing, NFTs for clients. And for anyone that hasn't gotten into it yet, I would say, there's definitely still time. And it's something that as an artist, as an independent artist, you can always do. You always have ownership of work. You can always, host it digitally and sell it digitally. And that's just another potential source of income. So for anyone out there that is a, creative, that's curious, that's kind of nervous, I mean, there's definitely no harm in just kind of pushing it and seeing where it goes. I would say, yeah, definitely. What has been something that's hard for you that you've kind of learned about being a freelance creative, or something you would advise people to do first or avoid, or is there anything that's kind of been a learning curve or a struggle for you that might be beneficial for, I don't know, someone else that's just starting out more than you?
Yeah, so one of the things I really struggled with in the beginning was not accepting projects that were not within my price range, because it's so tempting in the beginning, especially if you're just starting out, especially if you don't have that much money yet and you don't have a stable job. It's so tempting to say yes to every single project, even though it's way below what you're supposed to be charging people. But then I had to actively tell myself, like, this person has only $50 to pay me. I shouldn't say yes to this project, but it's not always so easy, especially when you're just starting. But, the more you realize how much your work is worth and you translate that into, saying yes to the good projects and no to the ones that aren't worth your time, then
Totally.
it just starts to, it's like it trickles down. It makes you more aware of what you're worth, and it gives you more time to focus on the projects that you actually want to do and that will actually keep you alive. So
Totally.
that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, it's the value of your work, and your time is the most important asset that you'll never get back. And
Yeah.
it's like, I'm really feeling that, by the way. People are like, yes, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I know it can probably be tempting too, but you're setting that baseline. You're setting the precedent of like what your work is valued at and maybe what people will think that it's challenging in the future. So, definitely set limits that are gonna, maintain your hourly rate, whatever that may be. And that can always change. That can always go up, as someone gets more reputable or as an artist kind of just continues their career. I mean, that can always change. But yeah, definitely don't take on things that feel like you're not getting your worth.
That's something I'm still learning to this day. I don't know, Hannah. Like sometimes I bring projects to you that are like, oh, we only have this much, and I'm like, I really want to do it. I want to work with that.
I want
these big companies don't have the budget,
Yeah.
but then you get tempted because that they're these big name companies that you see everywhere.
Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes even the big guys say they don't have money, and that's always a personal call. I mean, you could do it for the, partnership, or you can just forget it. It's like, they should be able to recognize an artist's worth, especially for the time that it takes for the creative. I mean, for all the software, your literally entire life that you've built, developing your style. It's more than just like a couple hours of work a day. Like the value of your entire experience of having this, style that no one else has and that really no one else can do. So, hold on to those price points and, don't just kind of give away your time, because that's not good for any creatives. And that definitely kind of, the price for everyone when they think that low prices are okay. So yeah. I totally feel you there. Do you have any dream clients or people you love to work with, other than, things we've done, things on the table?
Things on the table are definitely what I was dreaming of a few months ago. Well, obviously, we can't talk about them right now, but then I want to keep going in that direction. So that direction is luxury fashion, I guess.
Totally. Yeah, we have the next couple months. Paulina has some amazing projects in the works. Really, really exciting partnerships in NFTs, in physical experiences, in digital work. And when those roll out, I'm super excited to share those with everyone, because it's just taking your work to the next level, which is amazing.
Yeah, super exciting.
Yeah, what are you coming out to New York for NYC NFT?
I thought it was gonna be in November because it was in November last year. I was so ready, but then isn't it gonna be in like July or something? July?
Yeah, it's in the next month or two. It's, I think, end of. I know.
Why they move it? I won't be here. I already have travel plans for June. I'm gonna be in Singapore. So I don't think I'll be able to make it to NFT NYC. I really wanted to. If it was in November, then yeah, I'd go.
Well, let us know next time you come out, though, for sure. How's that, or not Singapore? How's that Philippines flight to New York? Is that far, or is it okay?
It's.
You go
take a direct flight. A direct flight from here would be like 19 hours. It would be a 19-hour direct flight, or you can do a layover in Hong Kong or Doha or wherever. So that's like 8 hours, and then a layover, and then another 14 hours.
You're just over there. So I want to know a little bit about what you were like into when you were a kid. Did you always know that you were going to be an artist, or that you wanted to be an artist?
I always knew that I was going to pursue something creative because I've always been drawn to, to fashion, to colors. I've always been artistic. So I knew, my parents knew, everyone around me knew I was going to pursue something creative, and we all thought it was going to be fashion, but then...
Cool. You still haven't to like design apparel or do fashion regard?
If I had a sewing machine and some fabric, I could definitely make some pieces. I learned that at Parsons, but I'm not. I have no interest. I'm glad I'm not in that world anymore.
Fashion can be brutal. Especially fashion in New York. I think that.
Oh yeah.
Being able to be a freelance full-time digital artist and being able to, I mean, eventually you could live wherever you want to. You could live in New York, or you can live in the Philippines, or you could live in Singapore or LA or whatever. And I think it gives you a lot more flexibility. So personally, I think you're doing it right.
Yeah, me too.
What's your typical day like out there? Do you have a setup at your house? Do you go somewhere? Do you have computers running? I know you work early because I always talk to you pretty early.
So I am a morning person. I've always been a morning person for as long as I can remember. I'm up at like 5, 6 a.m. every day. And while right now I'm at my parents' house. I'm in the house I grew up, so this is like a vacation for me. I'm chilling. But normally I'm in like another city, and I wake up, I go to the gym, I answer some emails, I eat something, and then I work the whole day, like from 9, 10-ish to 5 or 6. And my ADHD is like it's pretty bad, so I get distracted in between working, but then I try to work from 9 to 6 or 5-ish every day, and that's it. But then, like I live here in the Philippines and everyone is in LA or New York, so sometimes I'll take a meeting at 9 p.m. or whatever, or like right now we're doing a meeting first thing in the morning. Yeah, that's my typical day. I try not, I used to not have a schedule because I thought, I'm a freelancer. Whenever somebody calls and asks me for something, I need to respond no matter what time it is. But then I burnt out a little bit when I started that in the beginning. I remember our first ever meeting was at 3 a.m. my time.
Oh my God, I didn't know, and you just like accepted it. Like, oh girl, you definitely don't have to do that. Yeah, I mean, you maintain pretty regular hours. You're a professional, but yeah, you got to set those boundaries for yourself, for sure.
Yeah, I'm learning.
Let's see, what else? Do you have any fun personal projects coming up, or things that you're, trying to explore? Do you have any NFT drops that you're looking forward to, or anything just on the personal front besides all the work that's going on?
I haven't released an NFT in months. I definitely want to get back to doing one-of-one pieces, but it takes a lot of effort. I don't like releasing NFTs for nothing. Like I think about my pieces when I release them, because obviously NFTs, they can be harmful to the environment. I know there's a lot of discussion on that front. There's a lot of tension when people discuss NFTs and their impact on the environment and stuff like that. So I try to be really mindful and intentional when I do release them. So right now I don't really have any solid ideas for an NFT drop, but I do want to get back to it because I know I do have collectors waiting, people waiting to see what I'm going to release. And I've done a collection on Foundation of 3 like animated plants, and I told everybody that I was going to release more, but I haven't yet, so that's something I have to look into too. So there's a lot on the horizon. I just have to start on them. Cool. But right now that's it. I don't have anything else. I try to do art every day, so in terms of personal projects, that's one that's ongoing, and I think will be ongoing for a long time. It just helps me, keep my skills sharp.
Yeah. Amazing. Do you have any favorite platforms that people should look out for?
In terms of NFTs?
Where your work lives for NFTs. Do you favor any of the platforms you work with? I know maybe you're on a couple of them.
Yeah, I like Foundation the best because I like the interface. I also love Disrupt, which isn't. It's gaining traction. Yeah, Disrupt 1. That's another kind of invite-only platform. Not as many people know it as they do Foundation, but I love it too. The interface is super cool, and the founders are super supportive of the artists on their platform, which I really like. So yeah, those 2.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm trying to get on Super Rare, but they haven't accepted my application. If there's anyone from Super Rare watching this.
And I mean, I think you're doing great. I love all the new platforms. I love kind of those like, classic heavy hitter platforms that have been around, and, Foundation's great, and they all kind of have their nuances and their variances. But yeah, I think that that's great. What's been your kind of highlights and hardest and best parts of this year? I know that the last couple of years have been rocky, but what's been good and what's been hard this year?
This year,
2022, June. It's like half.
I know. Well, last year, towards the end of the year, that's when we connected and we started working together. So it was like a lot of projects towards the end of the year, right? But then coming into 2022, I think it's been a little bit slower, and that kind of, it keeps me grounded when I don't have any projects to work on. I'm like, this freelance life is great, but then if I don't hustle, then I'm not going to get any work and I'm not going to make any money. So that's something I have to keep in mind. Like, it's a privilege to be able to do this. digital art and I'm my own boss. I can do whatever I want, but at the same time, it does require work. And if I slack off, if I stop making art, if I take too long of a vacation, I won't have any work. So
True. I mean,
I'm always on my toes.
it is so important to keep it going, to keep your personal work strong and to keep producing. And that can be a lot. That can be exhausting, but it definitely, has to be something that you're passionate about. And I mean, working every day is amazing. I don't think there needs to be a pressure to like produce something every day, but at least just doing a little bit every day is huge. But yeah, definitely not trying to work too much, not getting that burnout, because that'll definitely happen too. Being a freelance, it's like work forever, but finding that balance, which I think you're good at too.
I'm trying.
Cool. So we're gonna open it up in a second to some Q&As. If anyone has for Paulina about her work, about her process, about upcoming tips, tricks for her, for myself. I'm the founder of H Creative, everyone. My name is Hannah Stouffer. Paulina Almira is one of our artists in the Philippines. Amazing digital artist, works in Illustrator. Follow her if you don't. Whoa. If anyone has, I'm going to switch a little bit. I know we're kind of as far as we were talking. There's definitely some questions about NFTs. Karen, thank you, Paulina, for your art. I found your page via Explore page. I'm in love with your work ever since. Explore page, IG love. That's amazing. See what's to come. Thank you guys so much. Let's see. I'm looking for this question about NFTs that someone wrote. Divey Design, what are the most used tools in Illustrator for you besides gradient mesh?
So the gradient mesh is, I am not lying when I say that's the only thing that I use. Whatever graphics you see on my page, those were created with gradient mesh. So if it's not gradient mesh, it's just a regular gradient tool, the line slider. That and the pencil tool, that's what I use to draw the shapes, and then I fill them in with gradient mesh. So what else? I use blending modes a lot. So I like opacity and color burn, and I like to play with the blending modes a lot. Those are my most widely used: gradient mesh, blending modes, and the pencil tool.
Some little and tricks, some faves. And then M Dog Nightmare says, what do you think of NFTs in terms of its influence on artistic process? Do NFTs influence your artistic process? Like knowing that it's going to be for sale, or you're going to put it for sale, does that kind of influence how you create it or what you create, do you think?
Definitely. Because with NFTs, if you're selling them for yourself, you're selling them as your own art. You're not catering to a client, or you're not working with anybody else. It all comes from you. So when I'm creating an NFT, I pull from my most my deepest, not deepest interest, it's not the way to say it, but then like the things I'm the most interested in, the things I'm the most drawn to. Like I find myself tapping into my inner child when I'm making NFTs, because as a kid I love Barbie dolls, I like horror, stuff like that. So I pull from all of those pieces of inspiration, and it turns out really nice and something that feels like it's really me, because I'm not trying to cater to someone else. I'm not doing it for a client. I'm doing it because this is the art that I want to make, and I'm selling it to creators. And at the same time, the creators want to see something that speaks to who I am as an artist. They don't want to see something I made for someone else because there was a brief or whatever. They want to see who I am.
Definitely.
So when I'm doing an NFT, it feels so me. The art feels like a piece of myself. So yeah, that influences it a lot.
I mean, that's important. That's like, that's like the basis of your work is the work you do for your own personal self, and for what you put out there. And when there is no brief, when it's like your own work and that's all you need to do, I think that's the thing. Let's see. Why overcomplicate it? Exactly. Like just push the work that you feel best about. Um, let's see, what else? Love it. Thank you guys. Thank you guys, everyone, for joining us. I wish that we could talk about some of the amazing things that Paulina has going on in the future, but you'll have to stay tuned for those. We have some really fun projects on the table, things coming up. Of course, NFT NYC is coming up. I'm sure we'll end up having a presence there. We usually do something, gallery shows or whatever, but if anyone has any other questions for Paulina, feel free to drop them down below in the comments. And we will just do a couple more here. Double Vision asks, is there any specific time period that inspires you the most?
Yes. So anything vintage, so graphics from the 80s, 70s, 60s, and anything before the 80s. Like those retro pieces that you see, the ones that are kind of warm and washed out with like retro graphics, girls in sunglasses or roller skates, people eating ice cream with that really retro kind of glow to them. I'm really drawn to that art, and you can see that influence in my work for the most part. I tried to emulate that glowy, ethereal kind of radiance that comes with art that's old. So yeah, and lately, I talked about this earlier, I've been drawn to like medieval manuscripts. So those weird gargoyle-like creatures that you see in old manuscripts, I've been really drawn to those lately. Also the work of, Hajime Sorayama, that guy, the guy with the robots.
Totally.
Yeah, I love his work. I love the retro glow in all his pieces, and I do try to emulate that heavily in my work. I like to make everything glow. So
your work kind of has a touch of like feeling like it has that airbrush style to it. I bet if you get into something tangible, picking up an airbrush would be like a crazy for you to like dive in. You want to just totally mix it up.
Yeah, that's the thing. I have no desire to produce anything physical, but on my own. I the digital world is where I live. Like everything, my whole world is my laptop, and my art seems super extravagant and opulent and stuff. But in real life, I don't own many things. I don't have many things. I try to live as minimally as possible, which is, it's funny because my work it's like an explosion of just things. But my actual real life, I don't do any of that. So yeah.
Bulldoga is asking, how did you find your own art style? So we're kind of like starting to produce work. Did it kind of like go through a process of developing, or was it more intentional how you kind of found your own style, what it is now?
In the beginning, I was doing a lot of experimentation. So before I started posting daily, I was doing art, and it was a mishmash of different things because I didn't know what my style was. I knew what I liked because I'm always looking for inspiration online. I knew which art I liked, but I didn't know which style was actually mine. So I experimented like everyone does. I copied, I tried to, not copy art, but I tried to emulate different styles and see which one worked the best. And it was just by doing it every day that I found which styles I'm most inclined to, or which elements I'm drawn to, which ones I want to repeat over and over. So I feel like people think they have to do something different all the time, but if you find one thing that you like, for example, if you like the color pink, or if you like a heart, for example, don't be afraid to just keep using that over and over, because it's by repetition and practice that you learn what you're inclined to.
Totally. And I think that
just dip into the things that you like, things that inspire you, and don't be pressured by what you think others expect you to create. Just practice every day.
Totally. Good advice. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of repeat your work. You have eyes, plants, and mouth, obviously palette, and it stays consistent. And I think that that's a really good way to just kind of into your work and develop your style to repeat the things that you like. There's definitely no like reusing stuff if you feel drawn to it. Yeah, totally. I'm looking through some of your work right now. If you guys haven't followed Paulina Almira about her work, I think that you're in for a treat. Um, are you inspired by your landscape in the Philippines, like your environment in the Philippines? Do you feel like that trickles in at all, or is it more like new or kind of sought after stuff?
I think it's not something that I look to as explicitly as inspiration, but I feel like, I grew up on a mountain. Like I'm in the mountains right now. I'm surrounded by trees, mountains. I can see like the water from across the city. I'm from the Philippines and we have a lot of nature here. So I just grew up around it. And I feel like I don't explicitly look outside for inspiration, but it's part of me because I grew up around this environment.
I
So it finds its way into my work no matter what.
That's amazing. I hear so many birds. Are the birds outside? Are they inside? Are they
They're
everywhere?
outside, they're everywhere. Like you hear them all day. I can see one right now. He's right there. Hello. Yeah,
I'm
they're everywhere. If we had this call earlier, you would have heard like chickens, maybe.
the early morning.
Yeah.
I'm going to give everyone maybe another 5 minutes to ask Pauline any questions that you might have. We do these little H plus conversations with some of the artists that we represent every couple weeks or months, whenever we can wrangle one of them. But Paulina has been with us for about a year over here at H Plus Creative, and she does incredible work, digital work, graphic work, background in fashion miraculously, and here we are. So we will keep this conversation live in our, I believe it's in our reels or somewhere that you can watch for later. We'll save it on our blog. So you're welcome to go back and watch it again, share it with someone. But yeah, everyone for joining us. And if you have any other questions for Paulina, feel free to send her a message or send us a message. But we're going to close this out in about 40 minutes of morning time. And I totally appreciate you coming on with us. And thank you everyone for joining us. That was lovely to see everyone and to have you with us with Paulina and talking about some of her tricks and tips and amazing work. So thank you guys. Thank you, Paulina.
Thank you everyone. Thank you so much, Hannah. I know we've been we've been trying to make this happen for months, finally.
I mean, we got schedules. Everyone's got schedules. We're busy, but I appreciate you making the time, and thank you everyone for joining us. And follow, whatever you want to do. Say hi, drop in, and thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Of course. See you soon.
Bye.